The laughter she thought was harmless would turn her world upside down in mere moments. A confrontation that began with taunts would soon spiral into a clash, revealing the strength of a quiet man who refused to back down. This was no ordinary day. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. This story is about to take you on an emotional roller coaster. The sun hung low over the horizon, casting an amber glow across the small rundown gas station on the outskirts of Timber Creek. The summer heat bore down relentlessly, making the air thick and heavy. Ellie Dawson, an 18-year-old with sharp wit and determination, wiped the sweat from her brow as she unloaded bags of feed from her mother's truck. Her mother, Carol Dawson, stood beside her, her weathered hands steady and sure as they always were. Together, they worked the family farm, a labor of love passed down through generations. The town of Timber Creek was quiet, a place where life moved slowly and everyone knew everyone. But today, as Ellie glanced toward the road, she couldn't shake the unease that lingered in the pit of her stomach. The distant hum of engines pulled her attention toward the horizon. The sound grew louder, more distinct, until a gang of motorcycles roared into view, tearing down the road like a storm. The Steel Reapers. Ellie's heart skipped a beat. She'd heard of them before, a notorious biker gang known for causing trouble in every town they passed through. They were a symbol of chaos and intimidation, leaving a trail of fear in their wake. But they had never come to Timber Creek. Not until now. The bikers pulled into the gas station, their motorcycles growling as they parked in a line. Their presence was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the sleepy atmosphere of the small town. At the head of the group was their leader, Cole Raven Blackwell, a man whose reputation preceded him. His dark sunglasses reflected the fading sunlight, and his smirk was as sharp as the tattoos crawling up his neck. Ellie tried to focus on her work, hoping they wouldn't notice her. But Raven's gaze swept over the station and landed squarely on her. His smirk widened. Well, Raven called out, his voice carrying across the station. Look at this little country girl. The gang laughed, their jeers filling the air. Ellie's cheeks flushed, her grip tightening on the feed bag in her hands. She refused to look at them, determined to ignore their taunts. But Raven wasn't one to be ignored. What's a pretty thing like you doing in a place like this? He continued, stepping closer. Looking for some excitement? Ellie's stomach churned. Her mother, Carol, was still at the pump, her back turned to the scene. But Ellie could feel the tension in her posture. Carol Dawson was a woman who recognized trouble before it fully arrived. The bikers circled Ellie like vultures, their voices growing louder, their comments more demeaning. One of them, a hulking man with a scar running down his face, leaned in too close, his grin menacing. You sure you're not bored around here? Sweetheart, he sneered. I could show you a good time. Ellie's hands shook, but she forced herself to remain still. She knew her mother wouldn't intervene unless absolutely necessary, but she didn't want to provoke the gang further. Yet the situation was quickly escalating. Leave her alone. A voice cut through the tension like a knife. Carol had turned, her eyes dark and unyielding. She walked toward Ellie, placing herself between her daughter and the gang. The bikers' laughter faltered as they took in the imposing figure of the woman before them. Carol's calm presence was more commanding than any shout could have been. Who's this? Raven mocked, his smirk returning. You gonna protect your little girl, lady? Carol didn't rise to the bait. Her voice was steady, almost quiet. Leave her alone. Raven's grin twisted into a sneer. Or what? You think you can take us on, Grandma? The bikers laughed again, but their bravado was beginning to crack. There was something in Carol's stance, in her unwavering gaze, that gave them pause. What they didn't know was that Carol Dawson wasn't just a farmer. She was a retired Army captain, a woman who had faced battles far more dangerous than this. I don't think, Carol said, her voice cold and resolute. I know. The laughter died away, replaced by a tense silence. Raven's smirk wavered, but he wasn't ready to back down. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a menacing growl. You don't scare me, lady. Carol's eyes narrowed. You should be. In an instant, The situation erupted. Raven lunged forward. But Carol was faster. Years of training and experience kicked in as she sidestepped the attack, grabbing Raven's arm and twisting it with practiced precision. Raven cried out, his tough exterior crumbling in the face of Carol's controlled strength. The other bikers moved to join the fray. But Carol was ready. One by one, she disarmed and subdued them, each movement deliberate and efficient. It wasn't a brawl. It was a demonstration of discipline and skill. Within moments, the gang was on the ground, groaning in pain and disbelief. Ellie watched in awe, her fear replaced by a newfound respect for her mother. She had always known Carol was strong, but she had never seen this side of her. This wasn't just strength. This was control, precision, and an unwavering commitment to protect what mattered most. As the last biker struggled to his feet, Carol stepped back, her gaze sweeping over the defeated gang. "You've got two choices," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Get on your bikes and leave, or stay and regret it." Raven, clutching his arm, glared at Carol but said nothing. He motioned for his gang to retreat. One by one, they climbed onto their bikes, their earlier arrogance replaced by a humbling silence. As they rode off into the distance, Ellie exhaled, her hands still trembling. Carol turned to her, her expression softening. "You okay, kiddo?" Ellie nodded, her voice shaky but steady. "Yeah, Mom, I'm okay." For the first time, she truly understood the depth of her mother's strength. It wasn't just about physical power. It was about standing firm in the face of adversity, about protecting those you love with unwavering resolve. And as they stood there, side by side, Ellie knew that this moment would stay with her forever. The story of what happened at the gas station spread quickly through Timber Creek. Carol Dawson became a local legend, a symbol of quiet strength and resilience. But for Ellie, the lesson went deeper. She had seen her mother's strength not just in her actions, but in her refusal to let fear or anger dictate her choices. Weeks later, when the Steel Reapers returned to the station, it wasn't for revenge. It was for redemption. Raven and his gang approached Carol with heads bowed, their arrogance replaced by humility. Raven extended a hand, his voice uncharacteristically soft. I'm sorry for what we did," he said. "We were out of line." Carol studied him for a moment before nodding. "Apologies mean nothing if you don't change," she replied. "Respect is earned, not demanded." Raven nodded, understanding the weight of Carol's words. The gang left without another word, and Ellie watched them go, feeling a sense of closure. Her mother had not only protected her, but had also taught her the value of strength tempered by compassion. What do you think of Carol's quiet strength and Ellie's journey? How does this story of courage and respect resonate with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more stories that inspire, challenge, and move you. Together, let's celebrate the power of resilience and the lessons that shape us all.